Adam and Max had been friends since high school. When they grew up, they wanted to live apart from their parents and started looking for a place to live. Without much thought, Max and Adam decided to join forces and look for a place to live, splitting the costs in half. Soon they found a decent one-bedroom apartment. The price turned out to be small, and the guys went to see the new apartment. The apartment was a real miracle. Spacious rooms, all the amenities, 5th floor. But there was one oddity. When the friends were deciding who would live in which room, Adam noticed that there was a deadbolt on the door of his future room. There was nothing unusual about it, but the deadbolt was on the outside. The landlady had said at first that it was just to keep the door from opening from the draft. But then, when Adam assured her that they were renting the apartment anyway and it was just curiosity, she reluctantly told him about her friend who lived here with her family. Her friend, husband, child and mother-in-law. The latter was already many years old and had begun to lose her mind in her old age. So, to keep her in one place and to protect herself and the child from her possible attacks, the father put up this deadbolt. Thus, most of the time the grandmother was locked up alone, and only a few times a day relatives came to bring her food and clean up. Of course, this couldn't help but affect her condition, and as time went on, she got worse and worse. She stopped recognizing her son. For some reason she called him Arnold, even though his name was Vincent. As he soon told her, Arnold was his brother who had died in the hospital. At night she kept no one awake, constantly muttering something in her room. Sometimes she tried to break down the door, but of course a 70-year-old sick woman couldn't do that. In the end, after suffering like that for another 6 months, her grandmother died. But they didn't find her right away. When my mother went into the room with the tray of food, my grandmother was not there. There were some scraps of paper, fragments of a broken light bulb and leftover food scattered on the floor. Grandma herself was found in the closet. She was sitting against a back wall with her arms around her legs, as if hiding from something. After burying her mother-in-law, the woman immediately persuaded her husband to move to another apartment without explaining anything. Both friends took the story quite calmly. They had heard similar stories about bad apartments before, but they treated them with disbelief. But the first oddities began to appear a couple of weeks after the housewarming party. The light bulbs in the apartment were constantly burning out. New bulbs worked for no more than 2 days. The called electrician assured the tenants that the wiring in the apartment was in good working order. Perhaps it was due to power surges, but no one in the whole building, except the residents of this apartment, complained about power outages. All the bulbs worked as long as they should have. Another month later, Adam's girlfriend stayed overnight at his house. In the morning, sleepy and wrinkled, she told him that she had been seeing shadows all night. In addition, she had long felt a heavy stare, as if someone were looking at her from a mirrored sideboard. No one believed her story until the next incident. It went like this. Adam was on his way home from college when, glancing at the windows of the apartment, he noticed that someone inside was moving the curtains, pulling them back and forth. That no one was home, he was sure of. An hour ago, he'd called Max. Max said he was going to go to his parents' house. Fearing that thieves might have gotten into the house, Adam was about to call the police when the curtains finally opened and a figure appeared in the window. What he saw in the window made Adam wince. An old white face with sparse gray hair looked at him with a blank stare. Adam looked around for anyone alive, but the yard was empty. Looking up again, Adam saw no one. The curtains were drawn tightly. So, unable to go inside, he sat waiting for Max to show up. But Max didn't show up and didn't answer his phone. It was winter, so after sitting on a bench outside the entranceway for several hours, Adam still decided to go inside to get the keys to his parents' apartment and spend the night there. His parents had gone to Egypt. Approaching the door, Adam hesitated for a long time, but gathering all his will in a fist, decided to open it. But the key did not turn in the lock, as if the door had been opened. Suddenly Max's voice sounded from inside. "Is that you?" Adam realized at once that he had been played. Furious, he swung the door open and stepped inside. He was met in the hallway by Max stirring tea in a mug. "Very funny," Adam said angrily. "What's funny?" Max asked in a strangely muffled voice, but Adam paid him no attention. "Nothing," he replied and, pushing his friend away, headed for his room. As he slammed the door behind him, he realized that Max's skin was cold and slimy, like a sausage that had been on the table in the sun too long and gone bad. Still angry, Adam threw off his damp t-shirt and opened his closet to pull out clean clothes. He recoiled in horror when he saw Max in the closet. Max was sitting where his coat usually hung, leaning with his back against the back of the closet, his arms wrapped around his legs and his head thrown back. He was dead. From the hallway came the clinking of a teaspoon and approaching footsteps.